Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 6 German destroyer, Ernst Gaede. She has 15,700 health, a top speed of 38.9 knots, 4 128mm guns, 8 torpedoes, a surface detect of 6.6 kilometers, and 23 AA defense rating. For my modules, reduce crit chance on main armament, improved aiming accuracy, reduce the chance of flood and fire, faster rudder shift. For my commander, basic firing training, faster torpedo rearm, last stand, superintendent, advanced firing training, and concealment. We are on the map Estuary, and this is one of the 2 German destroyers that can mount 150mm guns. Quite honestly, I think you should mount the 150mm guns, and this is why I think it's the right call. Because you're not going to be using your main guns that much. I mean, yes, you will fire your guns, but it's not something like the Soviets or the Americans where you really want to be firing all the time. You've got to be very, very cautious, especially when there's an enemy Gremyashi on the enemy team. That's a ship that's way better than me. Probably a tier 8, maybe a tier 9 in power. I mean, it is ridiculous. A fully spec'd out Soviet destroyer build in the Gunnery, even concealment build. You have like 8 or 9 kilometers of blind fire. Yeah, I don't want anything to do with it. Friendly Sebs, he decides to move forward and take a lot of fire from the enemy, and I am trying to figure out a location that I can send my torpedoes towards the enemy. Of course, the German torpedoes have a pretty fast rearm. Not a lot of damage when you compare it to some of the slower rearming torpedoes, but it gets the job done. 1 or 2 and they're dead. And it appears that there is a significant amount of enemies that are standing, or not standing, of course, they're stationary in the smoky area. And who is detecting me? Enemy Nicholas. Well, this isn't good. Notser, you're going to figure out it's not good in, 5 seconds, because you're not going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to have every single person in the area firing on you. So, I send my torpedoes, and I pop my smoke. Probably should have done that immediately, but I like to live dangerously. You know, it's a fault. I don't really recognize the absolute power that 4 or 5 ships in smoke can really be towards a destroyer that has a pretty average rudder, pretty terrible radius, turn radius, and it's a pretty large ship that takes pretty high damage per shot. And I guess my torpedoes are not going to be successful against the enemy. The enemy sends... Oh! We got one on the Akatsuki. Akatsuki probably sent the torpedoes, and I have hydroacoustic, so it's irrelevant. Yes, that German power, so powerful. In the right hands, of course. So as I give ground, I am reminded that torpedoes are almost back up. The enemy still has a Gunnery in the area, and that's terrifying, of course. And we're losing friendlies. Not as quick as maybe it could be, but we're still losing friendlies on this flank. So we need to be cautious. What does that mean? Don't fire the guns, Notser. Don't fire those guns. Only... And there he is. By the way, I love this guy's name. Snorkeling Platypus. That's pretty awesome. I would get some artistic rendition of a platypus with a snorkel device on. It would be the cutest thing ever. This dude should really run with it because it's a great name. And you know what else he's doing? He's running right into my concealment, and this torpedo is preventing me from trying to move as fast as I really want to. Oh, great, there's another one. So let's fit ourselves in between. We're still detected, and I'm going to give ground until I'm not detected. Notice, I sent torpedoes towards this bundle of enemies, and probably not going to hit anything. But notice the enemy, Gremyashi. He was not detected when I was being detected. So he's got pretty good concealment. He's probably using a concealment build, which is not good. His concealment will be around, oh, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilometers, maybe 6.5. He'll have a gun range of about, 16? 15 or 16 sounds about right. He'll be able to have 8-kilometer range torpedoes. If this doesn't sound like the most broken ship in the game, I don't know what is. As far as the destroyer is concerned, I know there are some ships that are maybe better, but it's very broken, and I'm going, what? There's no way I'm detected. Because I hadn't really recognized that. Oh yeah, Mr. Platypus. He's the guy with great concealment, great rate of fire, and great damage per shot. Oh, it's so scary, so I have to pop my smoke. And the enemy is still pushing forward. I don't have hydro, so I got kind of lucky there that the torpedoes were not meant for me. It looked like they might have been meant for the battleship behind me. Now I'm sure many of you are going, Notser, what's so impressive about this? It's the flank that the enemy chose to push, and I'm sort of giving ground and surviving, which is more than most people can say when they play in the Germans. It takes a great amount of patience, and I do mean, you have no idea. I want to fire so bad at these guys. Usually, I would. But you just can't do that. You have to play it torpedoes first, guns second. And that's why I would honestly recommend 150 millimeters. You drop about 50% of the gun rate. In the tier 6, you don't gain a gun. In the tier 8, you do. But there's no reason to really have range on your guns. You've got to be so particular in your torpedo usage that it's really irrelevant that you can hit 13, 14, 15 kilometers. You're always going to be detected. Oh, the enemy team is pushing forward rather aggressively. I'm deciding, should I fire? Do I really want to fire? Is it the right thing to do to fire? No, it's not. What is the right thing to do is to go after that Arpeggio Congo that is apparently willfully, and by the way, that Lance is dead, willfully decided to isolate himself from his team. Well, I'm going to ambush this guy. And at this point, I was thinking, you know what? He's just going to sail forward. I'll be able to torpedo him. We will kill him. We will feel great. But it doesn't look like he wants to continue. So instead, I'm going to attack. Sharks, attack. Oh, wolves. Wolves attack, yeah. That's wolves, yeah. Germans are wolves. So the wolves are going to attack, and look at him. He is just out of position, although I am moving into his gun position. And we're going to probably take a big one by him. Yeah, he tried to fire, I think, or his secondaries. Didn't really work out for him. Yeah, secondaries took care of that. And we didn't really risk the ship. I didn't have to fire my guns. We did massive damage, and we're still alive. The enemy team is still pushing towards my base, which is not good, but torpedoes, 50 seconds left, probably be up. And yeah, I enjoy playing the game. That was fun to ambush him. He didn't know I was there. But it's not mean-spirited. I would love for the same person, if you were able to ambush me, you know what? Great for you. I always feel like, how did he do it? Whenever an enemy does that to me. But I'm going to move towards these enemies in the southern flank. My teammates are engaging them. The enemy team has a 2-ship deficit, and I don't want to give them any window to succeed. I could fire. If I was a Soviet or an American, I probably would. Maybe even Japanese. But I'm not going to do it in my German destroyer. This is how you bait yourself into death. It's very dangerous. There's no reason. I'm not needed for the Molotov kill. We did lose it from the Koenig. But if I fire my gun, the Molotov is probably going to engage me. It's going to be much easier for him to do damage than for me to get the kill or finish him off. I don't need to do that. What I need to do is focus on killing the battleships. Use my torpedoes against them, but man, do you need to be patient. You need to have that patience to recognize it's just not it's not worth it. It's too easy to be detected. It's too hard to get outside of the range of detection. And I notice that the battleships are sort of moving their way towards me, and I don't want that. So I give ground, and this Warspite, I just don't have ground to give. I'm going to use my smoke. I'm going to sit in it. I sent against the Koenig, hoping that maybe I'll hit him. Obviously, that's why you send torpedoes. And I'm going to fire against the Warspite. Now, the Warspite is notorious for the amount of damage it takes. Absolutely insane amount of damage. And I'm just trying to light them up. Eventually going to switch to AP, and it looks like one torpedo, maybe two, is going to hit the Koenig. Causes a flood. Nice. Going to force out damage control for that target, and possibly use damage control on the Warspite, because that is now the second fire on him. And I switch to AP. Generally, I like 2 fires on the target, and then I'll switch to AP. Maybe I could just fire AP the entire time, but part of this is making him vulnerable to friendly fire, using up his damage control, and he does indeed decide to use his damage control. Both of the enemy battleships are vulnerable to dot damage. The Warspite is still immune for probably 1 more second, and oh crap, the smoke. It is not as good as you would like, but it is serviceable, and you know what else sucks? That turret traverse of the Warspite. Look at how slow it is. He might as well not even be going after me. It's bad. It's really bad, and I think he's like, yeah, I can't really do anything, and plus both of us are dying. In the Warspite, you have to just accept the guns. They're going to be pointed towards one direction. I have to move the entire ship if I want it to be effective. The Warspite is actually the first one to die, which is interesting, considering how low the Koenig was. And I'm just going to fire on him. Ooh, 106. Who's going to get the kill? Am I going to get the kill? No, of course not. Of course not, game. Thank you, game. I really appreciate that, game. Ugh. But I'm not bitter. Don't worry. Now, the game's gone great. I wouldn't say the game was going great at the start when I chose the flank that the enemy was pushing. But being very passive, only relying on torpedoes, not being too crazy, can have the reward that you're seeking in the German destroyer line. Now, this is the tier 6. I've moved up to the tier 7. If I was playing the tier 6 right now, I would play a 150mm gun. I would make sure that I have the max gun range module. Of course, the torpedo. You really need every module for the German destroyers. They give you so much. There's always a buff somewhere. But I would use 150mm guns. I would try to focus 100% on torpedo systems. I would also get Demolition Expert as my skill and rely on dot damage hidden from view. That way, you're not vulnerable like so many German destroyers are with the 15 or 16 kilometer detection when you fire. It's absolutely obscene. The torpedoes are so much better. You will be using them as your primary source of damage. Sometimes you're going to get 150. Other times you're going to get 40. Just play the game to support and protect. Be cautious. Pick on the isolated targets. Support battleships. Make sure you use your hydroacoustic at an obvious location. If you're in smoke, or the enemy is in smoke, it's a good time to use hydro. It's just so natural to send torpedoes at smoke, force the player out of the area, or kill him. Worst case scenario, he leaves the smoke. Best case scenario, you take the person out 100 to 0, don't even have to risk the ship. Now, Snorkeling Platypus is trying to go after the friendly Nicholas, and he's popping his smoke. Run, Nicholas! Oh, Snorkeling misses the shot. Don't know if he can see the target. I don't think he can. I'm going to try and get up behind him. This guy could still just kill us, wreck us. That's how powerful the Garemiashi is. I'm very low. He could just turn on me and kill me. I don't want to die, but if he's going to fire his guns, I will gladly decide to fire on him once I get a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. Come here, Mr. Snorkeling Platypus. Oh, get over here. The platypus, of course, he wants to kill the Nicholas. I mean, he's one shot away. The Nicholas looks like he's able to avoid the island, thankfully. I thought he was going to pull a Notser. That's why I zoomed in. I was like, oh boy, you're going to die. But he survives. He doesn't run into the island. Not like me. The platypus is doing everything he can to show himself, which I really appreciate. Maybe he's going to use the Nicholas's smoke. If he uses the Nicholas's smoke, then you know it works really well against smoke. Hydroacoustic. Yes, I'm going to boost into the smoke area, use hydroacoustic. There's going to be a gray area of about 2 to 3 kilometers where I detect him. He cannot detect me. And hopefully, we can kill him before he kills me and the Nicholas and everyone else on my team. I mean, it's a snorkeling platypus, okay? The guy is serious, and it seems he's stationary in the smoke. Okay. The other enemy destroyer is close enough that he sent torpedoes, so we got to keep that in mind as well. And where are you? Oh, there he is. So 3.7 kilometer, he's detected. I fire, immediately detected. That means the other enemy destroyer is within the detection that my weapons have now bloomed to. And, oh, he recognizes how low I am. Don't you dare touch me. Get your hands off me. Oh, please. All right, we are in the smoke. By firing, he's revealing himself to my friendlies. And I will be detected any second now, and everyone seems to want a piece. Do I really want to fire? Yes, yes I do. Can we hit him? Yes, yes we do. And we win that game for the Ernst. It's a pretty good ship when you recognize you cannot fire your guns all the time. First blood, 2 devastating strikes, 91,000 points of damage done, 4 kills, 1,509 base XP. As far as damage is concerned, 55,000 from torpedoes, 28,000 from my main battery. That's about where Germans are going to fit because of the concealment. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.